the answers are inside. Yeah, I am the 21st century superhuman. Now is the time. Come on everyone, let's celebrate. We are the children of the sun. I can see you when I look into your eyes. We are the same, and we are light, yeah, we are one. Here now, hear my ancient prayer and sing along. We are awakening as one, and we can make a difference. Yeah, we can be the change it takes to make the world.
Hi there. Welcome to our 21st Century Superhuman guest show. I'm Carrie Ellis, author of 21st Century Superhuman. And with me today, I have my wonderful, beloved friend, Grandpaw Peter Koyote. Hey, Grandpa.
Hey, how you doing there, Miss Carrie?
I am so good. I'm so glad to have you on the show. And I think we're ready to talk about some radical and cool things that are the kind of things that you're always talking about that I think are so important in this world.
Well, it gives us something to do besides sitting around and, melt snow. And
there you go. Now, you're out in Colorado, Crestone, Colorado.
Yeah, you're at the very center of the universe. You're here at 9,000 feet high in the Rocky Mountain sky, you betcha.
Nice. And I initially met you through our mutual friend, Bill Ballard. And it was funny because he said, oh, you're out in Colorado. You got to meet Grandpa Peter. And so you and I connected, and we've been just buddies ever since.
Oh, yeah, we just probably live 50 miles apart, but you have to drive 200 miles to get to where you were.
That's right. Yep. I came down around the mountains, and I was caretaking over by Colorado Springs and came and met you. Yeah. And then when we did our 21st Century Superhuman tour the first time, we came right out and stayed with you and did some shows with you, and really had
we had a ball, man. It was a kick in the butt. You betcha. It was a lot of fun. Yeah, you need to get out here and do it again. We miss you out here, I've got some friends that are really interested in the Keshi technology. I need to get some people working on that out here. Nice. I might even have some available funding even, We'll just wait and see, but I think
Very cool. Yeah, we can come out there, and I'm hoping to come out that way this summer, but, we can probably find somebody out there that's working on it, too, and get you connected with them as well.
Yeah, that's what I need to find, somebody that's already doing something, bring him out here to Crestone, turn on some of these local guys, because we got some geniuses, You
do.
Yeah.
There's a lot of great, really practical people up there. So.
You betcha. So, and this kind of technology, once they figure out what it is, would be very welcome, because we got a lot of off-the-grid people out here too, Half of the Baca Grande, what I live in, is off the grid,
Nice. Yeah. I know that. So one of the reasons I wanted to have you on the show is just because I think you're one of our really awesome wisdom keepers. You've been around a lot of years. You've grown through a lot of things in your life. Started out kind of like T.L. Scott, really, with some very strange happenings in your childhood, although you were already kind of awake back then. And then as you grow up and started to kind of wake up even more and live the awakened life, you've been on this really amazing journey. So I want to talk about some of that today. And
sure.
I know you're a big proponent of good old MaryJane, and
the veritable Pope of Pot himself, MaryJane's right-hand man, I'm telling you.
There you go. So I'd like to talk a little bit about the Colorado marijuana laws and what's going on with all that, because I think we're living in the changing face of the human race, really. I mean,
big time. Just the fact that Colorado was able a few years ago to even legalize this herb and quote get away with it, because we didn't have to get away with anything, just acknowledging a natural right. But it's amazing, and it's amazing what's happened in this state since then. At first, of course, there's the big gold rush mentality, and everybody wants to come to Colorado and grow. So we had a few little disasters even in this valley because of that. But things have kind of evened out, and it seems like the good guys are staying in the business, and the not so good guys are finding someplace else to be. And I'm not over on the Front Range, but it's really booming over there. And it just, and more, because we're legal now, and there's lots of research here discovering that it's good for everything. I mean, it heals not just cancer, but all kinds of other stuff too, And with me, the reason why I became her advocate was because, like you say, I had a troubled upbringing. I was just born different from the people around me. I was severely abused, ritually so as a child. Went through a lot of MK Ultra kind of stuff too. Just some really off the charts kind of horrifying experiences that no child should ever have to surrender to. But, I lived to tell about it. And more than that, it made me determined to bring forward this dream that I carried inside of me, which was of a whole different world than the one I was living in, where everybody was happy, you know what I mean? And nobody was trying to steal from anybody. And there wasn't anything, quote, quote, wrong with it. It was all cool. That's the dream I think most people are born with. I just hung on to it. I was a little more conscious of it.
It's so beautiful that you held on to it through, those kind of difficulties and managed to carry it with you. And
well, it was my rage, to be quite honest with you, that helped keep it alive, because that fueled my determination, so I could resist, and I did greatly, but it was a real confused time. And then along about 19 years old, I out of some crazy set of circumstances, I wind up running theaters and managing them for a pretty big empire, in the entertainment industry. At like 19 years old, I'm like district manager up there in Idaho. And these kids working for me, they're always talking about this marijuana stuff. And bring me some of that. Let me try that. Oh, wow. The first time, not much. The second time, well, I knew I'd found my divine mistress for the rest of forever, man. Or she found me. It was like, because, wow, where I had all this constriction and could hardly deal with it, man, all of a sudden I started opening up. I could think the larger thought. I could see the bigger picture. I could more closely connect with people. It was just incredible. And, not that I stayed with it forever, because I did give it up for a few years. I had to know both sides. But, yeah, she was always my handmaiden. All the big changes in my life, and most of the little ones, too, are always predicated by a little MaryJane, always, She's the divine mistress that's helped me along the way. And to me, the way I talk about her on the Coyote Medicine Show, my little radio show, she's like, really the energy of the Divine Mother, the first life, the first human life, and that we're all an extension of. And that's what I think she basically reminds us. Of course, just like anything, it can be abused. When you approach this thing as a spiritual practice, or at least with some kind of honor and respect in your heart, wow. Or even just partying, because she's got that kind of mischievous nature in her too. She's Coyote, man. So yeah, it's been incredible here in Colorado. Everywhere I've lived in my life except Utah, where I came from, it's been real socially acceptable. And it's like cocktails, everybody has it, everybody does it, et cetera, and even in Utah, the crowd I ran with, pretty much even the people I worked for pretty much found it an acceptable thing, even though it was heavily illegal at the time.
Yeah, it's been really out in the West for a long time. I know I lived in Colorado for 20 years, although I'm not there right now. And it was a pretty common part of the subculture, let's call it. There was a guy who there's stories told about, I think it was in ancient China, but I'm not sure, who was on the planet like 4,000 or 5,000 years ago. And he must have been an ET or something. He could take in every single plant that there was, and then they could see it going through his stomach, and they could see what it did to his body. And he documented something like 5,000 herbs or whatever.
Wow.
I imagine probably, and then there's history that says that the Dogon say that hemp or marijuana was actually brought from Sirius.
Yeah, I'm sure it does have, because, essentially we're children of the universe, earthlings are creations of the universe, and earth life reflects all of the universe. So, yeah, wouldn't surprise me at all if she came from Sirius to start with, you know. I'm sure she was like the second or third herb to grow, or maybe she grew right alongside the elemental tobacco. I don't know, but they were both. I mean, they're cousins for darn sure. One has one element of it, one has the other element of it. You know, they seem to work together pretty good too.
Well, you know, there's things in this world that kind of shut our minds down and, you know, shut down our creativity and help us stay suppressed. And then there's things in this world that open us up to our creativity and our joy. I know you as being one of the most humorous, interesting, thought-provoking people that I know, you know, and you have this constant gift of really great mind energy that's always flowing, and I love it. And I'm sure that your participation in such substances probably has helped you open yourself up on those.
Well, without it, I mean, I can do it without it. I've proven that too. But at the same time, like you say, it really helps awaken your creative side and really get you in tune with the flow. And that's essentially what I represent on my medicine show and in the YouTube videos, etc. Is like just living in the flow, you know, because that's what I do. And yeah, definitely she helps you get there, helps you connect. Absolutely. She, you know, I call her the gateway to paradise, and to me she really is, you know.
Nice.
Genuinely, it's like the key that opens the door, you know.
Nice. So what is your radio show? Tell us about that a little bit. And you're really busy. I mean, I know you have a book called Atomic Bomb, right? It's kind of your life story with a sense of coyote humor. And we'll talk about where people can get that. And then you've got a really fun radio show. And I've been there doing the radio show with you and having all kinds of people from all over the world who are dialoguing with you the whole time. And I've gotten to type them little messages, and I love it. And and then you've got a lot going on, and you've got a lot of websites. I mean, you're very I think you've done a lot of really constructive things with this energy that's flowing. And
and you know, plus I was turned on to the internet back in my Boulder days, back in the 90s, and
you do a great job on it.
I've done. It's really educated me. I've really gone through a lot on it, so I'm capable of doing a lot of different things now. You know.
So we're going to put web links under the video for where people can get a hold of you and find your work and find your radio show. But tell us a little bit about kind of what you're producing right now.
Okay, well, first thing in the day is the Coyote Medicine Show. It starts at 5 a.m. in the mountains here, 7 a.m. East Coast. That's about noon in the UK. Middle of the night over there in Asia and Australia and so forth, you know, or early in the morning the next day, you know. Those people always running ahead of us. I'm so jealous. But it's a whole lot of good rock and roll, but it's all live and spontaneous. I have a broadcasted piece of software. I can throw a few thousand songs on one side of it and have a few players there, and I pull out whatever inclination hits me out of that list of a few thousand songs. So you'll get some radiance that way. You get some flow. You get this coyote message going in that. And then the old man will come on and rap with you a little bit, share a little bit of that radiant love, a little bit of the divine wisdom, maybe a little piece of my story from somewhere. This morning I was sharing the August 94 story about the spotted eagle, how we connected. Anyway, and it's more and more becoming like a creative instrument in the hands of creation, you know, the heart. Because, like, you know, what we're doing now, I like over on my website, thecoyoteclub.com, I've created a page called Dream Central. And what we do there is get people to share their dreams with us on the radio show or through the internet. And then the good ones will post up there. And all of us that tune into that page just add our energy to that dream, and it literally can dream it with him if we just sit there and give it a few minutes.
That is very cool. And you know,
bring it literally into creation. You know, we're learning our creative side because each one of us, in my humble opinion, is like the very center of creation, and what we live in is created by us, but not from this thought process that we know of, but from this thought process here.
Nice. From
Yeah.
the heart.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
It's
I
like a
know that
flow.
you have a way of really encouraging people who are discouraged or who are searching. I seem to see that in your following. Just a cheerful, beautiful bunch of people who kind of gathered around you um, because you're encouraging them on a daily basis through your shows.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's also a unity of heart thing because they see something here they find very familiar. And so our hearts identify with one another again. It becomes an act of what some folks would call co-creation. I just call it creation because it's just being in that flow. And the more we do it musically, dancing, harmonically, talking about it, the more we do it, the more it is, I mean, the more we become present in it, and baby, that's how we transform the whole universe, man. Starts with little tiny steps like that, and all of a sudden, boom, it's here, because we just dreamt it that way.
So what is the website again that you have the Dreamscape on?
Yeah, it's called thecoyoteclub.com.
The Coyote Club
And
with a
Coyote,
K, right?
with a K, yeah. K on Coyote, K on Club, because I just like K's. K's the way, man. So I just have my last name spelled Koyote. So.
Nice. And then, and what other websites do you have?
Oh, then I got, that's the only real active website I have for myself. I got a whole bunch of Facebook pages. There's my personal page. There's my Grandpa Coyote, the entertainer page. There's the Coyote Medicine Show page. Spirit Wind Productions, which is the background organization behind all this. And Pope Koyote, the Pope Pod, of course. And then, of course, I'm on the Hazy Radio Network website, too. So,
Nice.
yeah, that's some of it. I can't even sit here and remember it all. I should write it down.
We're gonna put all those links under the video and on the blog post that the video goes on, so that people can find you real easily.
Now, one of the big elements, if you can't tune into the radio station for whatever the reason, it is worldwide and it is available in all countries, as far as I know. We get listeners everywhere, as you well know. But it's also the YouTube channel. That's where I put my outtakes. The good outtakes, or just sometimes just random ones. But I put them up there at least twice a week. I'll put up new videos. So last time I checked, it's right around 600 videos up there now.
Wow. And
Yeah.
what is your YouTube channel called?
Peter Koyote, or Grandpaw Peter Koyote. Yeah, with
Okay.
the Grandpa's with a W on the end of it.
Yeah, Grandpa.
Coyotes with a K. Yeah, yeah.
Right.
I'm pretty easy to find there. Just put Crestone in your search and you'll find me right away.
There you go. And so how about your book, Atomic Bomb? Do you want to tell us a little bit about that one?
Sure. No, it's kind of a gateway book. I wrote that
and
one.
Where would somebody get it? Like, I know you have copies of it, right?
Oh, yeah, you can buy it on the coyoteclub.com at the gift shop, hey? Or you can go to amazon.com.
Okay.
Or Barnes and Noble. Any of the major booksellers online. You can order it through bookstores. I don't know many of them that are stocking it, I wrote that clear back in 2001. I didn't really get it.
And we should spell it because it's atomic and then B-U-M.
Yeah, B-U-M, like the thing we sit on, or the guy that comes knocking on your door bumming for food, or at least used to anyway. Yeah, now they fly signs. Yeah, that was it. And it's essentially a biographical work. It's like my alter ego interviewing my ego, and so you get like a generational aspect of it first. You get the dose of the birth moment, of course, because that's where every life supposedly begins. But and then you get a dose of the historical context against which this birth occurs, and then you get the ripening into myself, and then you get the August 94 onward kind of thing, from the moment of the spotted eagle onward through a certain amount of experience up to about 2000. It's basically the time frame it covers, but it's really essentially, in kind of a background sort of way, a microcosmic view of the history of humanity, given in a very kind of satiric way by the satiric life that I lived. and all of the history that it inherited from its Mormon ancestors, who were pretty damn colorful, as well as all the rest of them.
Yeah, I think you really did a neat job of telling how you had this sense even as a child, but then you had to kind of unravel yourself from all of that and really literally escape. And then what went on from there, and kind of just all these journeys and adventures that you were on. But there's always this voice that's kind of making its observations on life as well. So I think it's really a cool book. It's awesome.
Oh yeah, it bounces around in time quite a bit too, but that shows the flow of time. See, I don't see time as anything too linear. I see it more as like a spiraling experience, and that where we are on that spiral right now is also where we were at the beginning moment at the bottom end of that spiral. So we kind of spiral at the same pace, so our lives that we live tend to be synchronistic and reflective of one another. Not that they're always the same, but they deal with the same essential energies, because each one of us is some kind of specialist in the heart, just like the cells in our body are little specialists in their particular department. It's the same with humanity. Each one of us is a specialist in creation. So throughout all the lifetimes that we've lived, as I've seen it through personal experience, expressed in the atomic bum, it's all kind of simultaneous. So, a book like that is just designed to turn you on. I tell people it's just the tip of the iceberg, and indeed it is. It barely shows you yet. It's so deep and heavy, even in this day and age, there's a lot of folks that can't quite grok it,
Yeah, I think it's a really great read. It's fun. I was skimming through it a little bit before the show again, and I think it's awesome. I think just the fact that somebody puts a book out, but then it's got some substance that helps us learn and grow a little bit is really
cool. It's amazing that it can even be on the market these days. It's amazing I can sit here with this technology and broadcast a little radio show all over the world. That's pretty darn nice.
It is. I mean, we're living in amazing times as far as that goes. So, let's talk about the Colorado marijuana laws a little bit. I lived out there for 20 years, and it's always been part of the subculture that's been around me and the people that I know. And but it's been interesting because we're in this whole disclosure time on the planet, and we're in a time of releasing ourselves from sort of we talk about the 1% or whoever it is that's been kind of running things here, that's been taxing us so much and sort of harvesting, the resources from humanity.
They harvest energy. That's what they do. But that's also a big facade too. That's the dynamic we've lived in. And it's taken people a long time to wake up to that. A long time. And it wasn't just this cabal. They're just an event of the last few hundred years. By the way, I carry a little bit of that blood in me too, along with the little crazy Coyote Cherokee blood from, or maybe Iroquois, I'm not sure, but from way back when too. I got a little bit of everything, but I do have a little bit of that Illuminati blood. That's why I got smacked like I did when I was a kid. They figured they had their number. Of course, they knew in a soul presence sort of way, they being the seemingly oppositional forces, which aren't oppositional at all.
You're right, and I want to make that a point, because there is no out there, as quantum physics says.
No, it's all right in here, man. It's all what you experience, every bit of it, Right. It's all about the personal one. But it's also, when you start to get into these realms where we exist now, like on the Coyote Medicine Show, you start to see the bigger picture, and you understand that it all fits a flow. That no matter how difficult, and I've lived an extremely difficult life, as you well know, but no matter how difficult it may be, your soul is at joy, and you're working on that little specialty I talk about. It's energy work all along, and you have your note in the divine harmony, and that's your place to work on.
I love that. It's beautiful.
Yeah, that's your heart. But that's also the whole symphony too, that one note. It's kind of funny how that works.
It's true. We each have our own unique vibration, our own unique note, and we're in the middle of this discovery process of accessing the big love inside of us, and we're having to shed old belief systems and data and patterns and that we think we learn, but that we don't really need to carry around anymore, because we're really in a time where we are awakening as a human culture to the fact that we are creator beings made of love, you know?
Yeah, and you hear about it everywhere. It comes in all kinds of different forms and lots of disguises. There's a whole bunch of bullshit out there. Some of the most reliable souls and saints in humanity have gone south on us, you know, but it doesn't matter. Whether they're trying to disguise it or slow it down or speed it up or just be it, it doesn't really matter, because everybody, no matter what they're doing at this stage of the game, is adding to it. Everybody is an increase. If you put out one little iota of truth along with 99% lies, guess what? You just added to it. You just built it up, because that's your true desire. Even if you hate life and you want to destroy it all, you go back one more step. You see a tremendous love behind that hate that is so delighted to be so hateful as to think such thoughts. See the odd way that joy comes through? It's just so weird, but so coyote. That's why I had to be the coyote this lifetime around. Probably I've been every lifetime. I'm sure of it, you know, because that's the way of creation. It's always pulling a joke on itself. The most evil thing is often the most blessed, but it's up to the participant, which is the creator, to see that and change it, you know.
Very right on. Very well said.
Yeah.
That's what I love about conversations with you, because they always have that really great essence of truth.
Well, I'm able to do that, I guess, because I tap into the divine intelligence, which is the source essence of life in us all. And I think that, you know, I can speak right from the heart, and that is the divine intelligence. I'm just very gifted that way. And MaryJane helps me do it too, to be quite honest with you. She really helps me open up, you know, so I can access that. And also along with it, the cosmic sense of humor. So you start to catch on to what angels are, so you won't be so damned afraid of them. Everybody thinks they're so much more glorious than we are, when really, just like us, they're spiritual mechanics, and they're here to help us along. That's their duty, you know, that's their job. You know?
You'll like this about the spiritual mechanics. I heard somebody say once recently, who I really like what they say a lot. They said, it isn't really angels, it's angles of light. It's light coming through in a certain way, and it's dimensional quality.
Yeah. Well, like right now, I can see your angelic presence shining away, man. It's beautiful. I appreciate it, baby. Rock.
Thank you. So, you know, we live in Colorado without legal MaryJane for many years, and then
it was de facto legal here for years.
It kind of was, wasn't it?
The only reason you'd ever get busted for it, the cops was pissed off at you about something else, or they were needing a little revenue or something. But it was so laid back here for so many years.
Yeah.
And Oregon, where I lived before this, same way. You know, I mean, and Northern California, etc. I mean, it's been pretty much like you say out in the West here. It's been pretty much a social element since in the 60s sometime, you know.
Definitely, for sure.
It blossomed greatly. Like 69, I think, was the year when it really hit. You know, and I know the CIA was bringing a lot of it in. They thought they were going to drug us out. It didn't work.
Oh, yeah.
It woke us up.
So what are we on, 2 years now since legalization?
Three. Yeah, we're going on to the 4th year, in fact.
That is amazing. And in Colorado, it's legal medicinally and it's legal recreationally. Isn't Colorado still the only state where it's recreationally legal?
No, Washington, Alaska.
Oh,
Oregon.
Yeah, that's right.
I think Oregon just approved it. There are a few other. Who else? That's the ones I know. That's the ones I know about.
I know Florida was working on medicinal approval.
God, if you can get Florida to approve anything, you're doing some real good there, because they've been kind of naughty down there. They're like Utah. They fight change.
Yeah, keep it all quiet and conservative if you can.
Yeah, you bet. Let the mafia control it, then it's cool.
So, since it's become legal, what kind of changes have you seen in your world?
Well, most folks at first had a little issue adjusting to it. And you know, outside of this state, you know, our behavior here is still pretty shocking to a lot of people because we're so open and liberal about it. But it just come out from under the ground where it was already, as we say, quite a social element already. Now it's like legitimized. The criminal element in the growing industry seems to be finding its way out of it, and the steady eddies that really are cool people, the little mom and pop operations that now are a lot of millionaires, they seem to be dominating the industry. I know that tobacco industry is looking at us with jaundiced eyes. They want them Marlboro Greens now. You know what I mean?
Wow.
We ain't going to let them have it if I have
Really?
anything to say about it. Screw them, man. They can take their big money and go party with the Rockefellers or something. Leave us alone. We're having fun.
There you go. That's true.
But yeah, and it's been a real economic boon, even to little areas like this. I think it saved our real estate market because it was about ready to crash here. You know, not everybody wants to live, 80 miles from anything and 200 miles from the nearest Costco.
Right. It's true. It's true. I know. I had friends come to Colorado and the woman said to the husband, "Hey, turn around and let's go back. I can't see a shopping center for miles. I can't live here." And
And stay east, baby. Stay east. You belong there, yeah.
So issues with even getting the amounts of money that are coming in to be able to flow freely because the federal government wants to regulate it. And for a while, I know they were having trouble even moving those amounts of money that were coming in.
Oh, yeah, the feds wouldn't let them put it in the bank and everything, so it was all
Right.
cash. Everybody had to run on cash or be real clever about it and do it like a money launderer would. And that's just a bunch of crap.
Yeah.
But they finally chilled out about that. So now
yeah.
there are financial institutions that do handle marijuana. In fact, now the bankers are talking about how they can finance businesses and, help them grow and expand. Or actually, they just want to enslave that industry too. They
Yeah,
get
right.
the hell out of it, just like big business. Goodbye.
Right. Oh, that's amazing, though. That is very cool.
And I've got some friends in the industry, and I'm having to move in a way to make a little more revenue on the radio show because I'm basically just doing it for free, and I live on next to nothing. And so I'm getting some of my friends in the industry over there interested in being sponsors on the radio show, etc. Because
that's a brilliant idea.
They've got all this money and they got good hearts, and they need to be promoted in this world. They really do.
Yeah.
So it's a mutual thing,
Especially since you're always talking about the benefits anyway.
Yeah, well, I want to get 1-800 free MaryJ going, where you can call an 800 number, toll-free number, order your MaryJ up, and get it for free. And then once you get it, and you test it out, and you're happy with it, maybe you can send a donation. If you don't send a donation, you probably won't get any more. But there's no obligation. Just send them a free quarter or a free eighth ounce of marijuana, and just get them going, and
Nice.
I really want to see that happen. And I understand there are people that are doing things like that now and getting away with it legally, because now the feds have officially said they won't enforce anymore. They're backing off.
Yeah, I mean, I did hear that they basically passed something in Congress, I think, that said they're going to quit messing with it from a federal level.
Oh, yeah, because the first year or two, the feds were still busting legal grows here. Medicinal grows, they were still busting them, There was a big issue about it. And then finally, just all of a sudden, they threw in the towel. Because, see, Colorado was just the tip of the iceberg, but it began the flow in that direction. And then when the other states around us now see the economic miracle that Colorado, and it's not just economics. We've drawn some brilliant souls here. We're passing some incredible good laws in this state instead of a bunch of regulatory crap. Things are really happening here in a very positive.
That is very cool because it's just a way, it's prosperity for the people. And then the people are in a position where they can actually take proactive action instead of just feeling like they're, under the thumb of the big corporations. And it sets a whole wave of freedom in motion, which is very cool.
Yeah, and it's empowering just the right people, and they will in turn empower others, just the way normal economics work. That's going to happen. It is happening already, I'm sure.
Right.
I just don't see a lot of it because I'm kind of isolated out here in this area. Which reminds me, I'm going to get a little camper this year, one sort or another, and get the old radio show out there to the people a little more.
That'd be really fun.
Yeah, I won't be on the road all the time, but I'm going to do an occasional jaunt to this.
The Traveling Coyote show.
You bet. You got to get it going. You bet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know Michigan also has medicinal growing is legal.
Cool.
'Cause I've got friends that are growers there. They
Cool.
haven't quite passed it recreationally yet, but I think they're close. You know, it's like these little regulations. Well, you can grow 12 plants you can have 4 people, you can grow 12 plants for each of those people, and that's it. And then, you know, making medibles or whatever, you know, the edibles that have the marijuana in them or the extract in them. And so they're doing some of that.
Yeah. Well, out here in Colorado, man, you can buy anything with marijuana in it. I mean, um, everything from butter to chocolate syrup to ice cream. I mean,
Right.
beer, they have marijuana beer, they have marijuana booze. I mean,
Really?
if you want a
Oh
can
my
of, if you want
gosh.
a can of massage, now they'll give that marijuana oil and massage you with it. I mean, there's
Nice.
marijuana everything. MaryJane rules over
There you
here.
go.
But it's
You know,
incredible. You go in these little dispensaries. There's all these fine wrappers of all these candies and cookies.
yeah, I know. Well, we did that 2 years ago when we came out there on tour. Ken came out there with me on tour, and he was co-teaching with me the Jedi stuff. When I
Yeah.
was first launching 21st Century Superhuman, and he was like, "Oh, let's stop in the dispensaries." So we were stopping in dispensaries everywhere we would go, and it was great. Really, what a nice scene, kind of. You know?
Yeah, see, that's the kind of things I want to promote on my radio shows. All them little mom and pop dispensaries, all the little bed and breakfasts that host people that come to get their oils and get their healing and so forth. Those kind of people, those kind of organizations, I want to help.
Nice. And that's a great idea. So, I mean, I know people who have cancer that have been struggling to get like the Rick Simpson oil or, you know, the different products that are designed to give a person a concentrated dose of cannabis so that they can, get well.
Yeah, and then there's been a huge influx of medical patients because of
I
that.
bet.
You know,
I
and
bet.
they're not going to the doctors either.
Yeah. Sure.
I mean, people with kids, even with dyslexia, things like that, the marijuana oil is helping with that. And baby, they're coming to Colorado, so they can, if their home states aren't letting them do it, they're coming to Colorado. Because you know, what I mean, everybody, we were brainwashed for so long as a culture by this elitist scum to believe that marijuana was a narcotic, you know, that it was a drug, and that it was something harmful to people. You know, and that image kind of still lies in a lot of people's heads because it's illegal, like in Oklahoma or Utah. Well, Utah's even got legal now for medical. It's amazing, man. I didn't think Utah ever legalized anything except for, you know, wanton lust and Mormonanity. But
Right. So,
but
I think if a person's doing it for health reasons and trying to get well, they don't necessarily have to smoke it. They can ingest it internally in various ways. And then it becomes an herbal product as opposed to an herbal smoke. So if people have issues with that, there's other ways to take the substances in.
Yeah, there is. If you don't want to smoke, I'm a smoker. I love
Right.
the transformative effect of smoke, obviously.
Right.
But for a lot of people, the oil makes a lot more sense. Other people are doing the vapors these days, where they call that dabbing, you know. I can't hardly do that. It makes my lungs go crazy.
Wow.
I'll cough for a half hour if I do one of those dabs, you know. But yeah, it's amazing how it's going. But that's good. It's good that, you know, because that way the medicine's accessible to everybody that needs it. And as far as emotional healing, I don't think, and spiritual, of course, awakening, you can't do better than MaryJane. You just can't. You know, for some people, it kind of runs contrary to their energies because I got to tell you, quite frankly, there's a lot of really programmed people here that have been deliberately cross-wired by interests that were against them in a way. So there's some severity out there in some key people still. But we're working on it. You see, as long as we work on inside of ourselves, softening up all the harsh parts of ourselves, and letting the heart make it right, well, then outside world's going to reflect that too. They can't help it because we're all so unified in our heart's existence. So, you know, a few of us step forward, a few of us in Colorado, a nice sized population. And it's not just about the MaryJane, but it's about the conscious expansion that goes with it. And that's what you're seeing the effect of here. You know, I mean, the elements of bad health and so forth are all a part of that to bring it together. But the reality is we're literally becoming, like, for real, the center of the universe for a bit, in order that we can expand our conscious presence and share that then ever more widely with the rest of the world. I think that's why it legalized when it did, 2012, baby. Or was it 11? I forget, but one of those years. It's 12.
I think that's a really good point, Grandpa Peter. And, you know, I will say, just for myself, I don't smoke it, and I really haven't in a long time, because I already live out in this really expanded state of consciousness, and it's kind of like, okay, I don't really need to expand anymore. I kind of need to just contain myself so I can function in this world a little bit.
Well, you should come over to Colorado and smoke a bowl with Grandpa sometime.
Yeah, I'll do that. But, you know, I think we have these different levels of living in open consciousness, and I think, you know, as you said, we have so many people who are in the middle of kind of trying to break free from the old oppressive system, so to speak, which is really inside of us, even though it seems like it's outside of us. And that opening up, becoming more free-flowing, becoming more aware, becoming more in tune, that is enhanced when we're in the waking up process by marijuana and all its many myriad forms. And, you know, I think it's a big leap in this world to step into being a conscious person in the middle of a really structured society. And and so how do we loosen ourselves up and access that? God, can we remember what we loved to do when we were a child? Or do we even have any idea what we would have loved to do when we were a child if we had?
Oh, it still lives in your child, still lives within you and never goes away. And when I talk about the child, I'm talking, there's this moment, not too long or immediately after a child born, etc. It's somewhere right in that time frame before the abuse starts, where you're a complete, gathered together whole presence in fleshly form. You've got the whole universe consciously present and all the love in it. You know, that's why people find babies irresistible and why some people hate them, because they are the full presence of the innocent love of creation.
It's absolutely right, and I talk about that a lot in my book.
And so
the presence
a lot
of a
this
newborn is representative of the pure love that we're made of.
Yeah, absolutely. That is the pure love. And that is the conscious presence in physical form. That's why some babies only live a few moments. They just come to get that. That's all they need right now. You know what I mean? Etc. But each one of us, you know, of course, we put that away. But that becomes like a burning love inside of ourselves. A little tiny speck. But it does. It's like always there. And it's always reminding us that it's ready to come out and be you. Because that's your real person. And the whole idea of this life is to put it away and sit on it like you would an old hen's nest, and then for it to hatch out and you to blossom out in the beautiful butterfly. You know, in fact, a friend of mine drew an animal card today, and that's what come up: butterfly, transformation. You know, so we crawl around as these little wormy human beings for a while, but there does come the time of blossoming. Here we are, baby. You know, and MaryJane, whether you smoke on her or not doesn't really matter, because enough people have participated in that herbal presence to share that presence. See, so it's really not necessary to do anything. There are no requirements in this reality.
Well, you know, I mean, it's just the presence in this culture is changing the culture.
Big time.
The energy frequency of that plant, of that living consciousness form. And, you know, I'll even go back to, I mean, I was a child of the 60s and 70s. You know, I mean, I was one of those that I did, you know, I took mescaline and peyote and some of those really shamanistic things when I was like 18 years old. And it took me into an awakening that has stayed with me my whole life.
Yeah, absolutely. I've done just about everything too. A lot of it I didn't. I waited till in my late 40s, early 50s, but I've done everything by now.
But I would say that, you know, marijuana, MaryJane, the whole composite of that beautiful plant is it's a presence in our world at this point. It is, like you call it, representative of the goddess, the feminine. It is a really beautiful energy of awakeness.
Yeah.
And its frequency is being held and experienced in this domain at this point for us to use as a tool, as a representation of those aspects of ourselves.
You betcha, and let it awaken us, man, or let it help awaken, because it doesn't awaken you, it just helps you awaken. The next thing required is willingness, and when you see that, then you're on your way. I mean, she can keep you stoned for a while too. She can put you out of it for a while, and there's nothing wrong with that, because you need the rest. If you're getting knocked out by MaryJane, you need the rest, and you better pay attention, you know, and start paying attention to what your heart's calling for, because there's a reason why you're tired. You've been fighting yourself somehow, you know. People have this, it's all about conscious presence, about the internal struggle. You know, we're taught to focus outside ourselves with all these difficulties in this 3D world, when in reality, if we just deal with those elements inside of ourselves that are reflected back to us like that, that will get better, and so will we. You know, I mean, as you get better, the world around you does. It's really easy that way. To see it in motion takes a bit of doing, but it does happen. And, you know, just I see people, because of MaryJane and the expanded consciousness of her, and as well as the other elementals that we've employed, the DMT derivatives and so forth. I highly advocate on those in certain circumstances. I think a person has to be ready for the psychedelic experience, because it's not really psychedelic. It's revelatory. It's truth. People took it as hallucinations for a long time because it seems so far beyond their life and such a warpation of it. But it was actually a tapping in through LSD and DMT and peyote and so forth, a tapping into the creative essence in a more whole way, you know. But because we were like dumbed down little humans, it seemed like something.
Well, yeah. And, you know, DMT is naturally produced by our pineal and our pituitary gland anyway.
Yeah.
Ancient customs of drumming and dancing, singing, praying, meditating, they all activate that DMT. And DMT is a happy chemical, like oxytocin, serotonin. And it uplifts us. It makes us feel a sense of oneness. And
and gives us real clarity in that oneness. It allows you understanding. The understanding can be real clear on DMT. You see it so plain.
And fluoride, which is in the water and the salt all over the world, is one of the things that suppresses our own production of DMT. So.
Yeah, but those factors you're going to find don't work that way anymore. There's been a switch in energy, and like myself, like, see this little thing that's sore on the side of my head here? That's a black widow spider bite. I'm not dead.
Wow.
I'm not sick. It's a nasty, ugly thing, and it's been there for a few months now, but I'm not dead. I'm not sick. We're transformers. See, so no matter what they do, California is a prime example, because they're trying to kill off the consciousness down there, and they have done so for years, in my humble opinion. The assaults on the people started in the 70s that I know about, probably back in the 50s even, but, you know, LSD in the water, lithium in the atmosphere, things like that over the bay and down in the Southern California. And now, of course, they're trying all their mind control waves and energies on them, and they have done for years. That's why people down there
and chemtrails and all those crazy things.
Oh yeah, and then all the chemtrail, and now this great big old gas leak that supposedly was a big accident. Did you know they took the valve off of that thing that's leaking about a year or two ago and forgot to replace it? It sounds like more like a deliberate act to me, but I'm not pointing any fingers. But it's just the point is that Californians have been under assault for a long time because they're such a cradle for the brilliant ones. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
And they were afraid that the conscious presence might arise down there in LA. Well, it's going to. I saw that vision a couple days ago while I was doing the radio show. You know, LA is the city of angels, and they're not so lost anymore. We're helping them get found. But that's how we're doing it, because we're having to overcome and counteract all of those negative influences there. And I'll call them negative because they're trying to pull people back, hold them back, keep them there. You know, some people want the disaster. They want Mother Earth to wash all of us away, which, you know, this time she's already agreed not to. So too late, babies. You might as well just give it up. But the more toxins they throw at us these days, the better it's going to be for all of us, because each one of those is another step in our enlightenment, which comes just at the right time and just the right element, and will transform it immediately, whether it's fluoride or plutonium or anything in between.
Yeah, Grandpa Peter, I find you to be very tuned in. You usually have a real psychic read on things that are going on, and I agree with your sense of that we are learning to be transformers in the middle of, because really everything is just energy. That's the bottom line. And if we see an energy around us that we think is negative or dark or suppressive, it's just our job to breathe, to smile, to get rid of our own hatred or dislike or discomfort, and to center in the fact that we're this radiant, loving being. And we're learning to do that in every circumstance.
Yeah, every circumstance. And the path for me has been by unraveling the past a bit, just getting some understanding. Because if you can see the flow in that, well, it's easy to see it in the present moment and now, and it's easier to be in it, because you find, if you see that despite whatever difficulties you've been through, you've always been in that flow and you've always been in service to the heart, well, then you can accept yourself as you are now, and therefore let that become a reality rather than just something you have to remember in hindsight. This becomes then living in creation, This 21st century superhumans, I love it.
That's right. And we're learning to be that these days.
Yeah.
Well, Grandpa, I love it that you're out in Colorado, in one of my favorite places in Crestone, and I love knowing that you are here on the planet with me in this great rainbow of light. We call it the Rainbow Warriors, the Rainbow Tribe.
You betcha.
I really appreciate having this time with you to visit. Also, you have been doing a little festival every spring, haven't you, out there in Crestone?
I've been trying, last couple of years, man. There's been elements against me. So I do one again this year, but I want to do a full-time gathering now. That's what I'm doing this year. I'm going to create some little hub down here in the valley, a little coffee shop sort of way. But we'll grow that into something far more magnificent as time goes on. But I got to get a little start with a little gathering center like that too. So that's why I can't travel too much just yet, because I want to get that going first.
Awesome.
So people have a place to come and share conscious presence. And where it's acceptable, nobody's going to get mad and cuss you out for being awake.
Right. Cool. Well, listen, I'm going to say let's go for now. And thank you so much for spending this time with me. And I hope that I get out west there this summer. I really miss it. Miss being out in that part of the world. And keep being the great beam of light that you are, spreading consciousness on the planet and sending out those waves of delight that you do every minute of life.
I've been the rock and roll grandpa for about 35 years now, man. Back in my hippie days, I was kind of a grandpa-ish figure. Even when I was a kid, I always had that little bit of wisecracker about me. But the hippies all loved me, and we used to party down there like at the barter fair. Even in my young 40s, I was their grandpa there, still the Pope of MaryJane, even in times like that. And everybody come around and smoke with me. Had a great time. It took a lot to bring it to where we are now. And I appreciate all the pioneers, yourself included, that opened the doors and led to these moments of now where finally we can allow conscious presence to be and not be antagonized by it, but embraced by it. About time, eh?
It is about time. Grandpa Peter, thank you so much. I send you lots of love and blessings, big hugs. And
likewise.
Many blessings to our listeners out there, and we look forward to seeing you guys on the next show. And we want to give thanks to Naturally Better TV that this is a production for, and we're a really great group of people. There's other hosts besides myself that are broadcasting really wonderful cutting edge information and thought and helping us in this waking up process. And you find Naturally Better at naturallybetter.tv. It's a website. If you're not used to watching online television, that's how you do it. And our broadcasts are all pre-recorded, so you can go and look through various topics of information and the different presenters and watch. There's hundreds of shows on there at this point. So Grandpa Peter, much love to you. Many blessings. I know that we will talk soon on the great rainbow of life that's going on right now.
Oh, heck yeah. I never know. Might even pop up down in Florida sometimes. Scare the dickens out of you. You just don't know.
That'd be great. That'd be great. Okay. Adios, my friend.
Love you, baby. Thank you so much.